You are now listening to Lady Adenium. Kick back and enjoy the ride. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Lady Adenium, and today's topic we're going to be talking about polygamy. The primal need for security, whether it be physical or intellectual, is the assurance of one's own self-esteem. The principle that motivates all human behavior. Our desires come in different forms, and honey, who am I to judge consenting adults? Why, darling, I have the utmost respect for people who live in their truth and live their lives how they want to. But doesn't mean I have to agree with everything someone does. So I ask, is polygamy a lifestyle or a lustful fantasy for control and kink? So what is polygamy? Polygamy is a type of relationship that typically involves a person marrying more than one partner. There are generally 3 forms of polygamy, which are polyandry, polygyny, and group marriage. Polyandry is a less common form of polygamy, involving a woman marrying multiple men, while polygyny is the most common and well-known form of polygamy, involving a man marrying multiple women. Group marriage out of the 3 forms is considered to be the rarest because, as the term implies, several men and women marry each other. I mean, group marriage sounds like the swinger gangbang edition of polygamy if you ask me. No, but with all jokes aside, I can't see how these relationships would benefit anyone besides the person who has multiple spouses, and of course, in my humble opinion, the benefit of financial gain. Sweetie, if you think for a second people are going to share eggplants and peaches for the hell of it living in harmony, then you don't know what it means to truly love someone. Before I continue, polygamy is not to be confused with polyamory, as that type of relationship is the act of having intimate relationships with more than one person at the same time. Both men and women in this kind of relationship can be involved romantically with anyone else, as long as there is open communication and the partners know about each other. In polygamy, the multiple spouses are loyal to one husband or wife, or whoever they marry. Oh, honey, I think it's rather selfish and egotistical to expect undying loyalty from all spouses when the husband or wife who married each one gets to fall in love all over again and collect people to add on to the harem of spouses. In a way, it's kind of narcissistic. Darling, we as humans have emotions, and we can't help how we feel about someone. So I find it hard to believe sister wives are actually okay with sharing a man they are supposedly head over heels with, unless there was some type of financial gain or perhaps even low self-esteem. When it comes to men who are, I guess, brother husbands, I have to question their testosterone levels and self-esteem as well. Men are territorial by nature, hence why most love triangles don't end well if a person is stepping out of their relationship. At times, love triangles end in death, so be careful, ladies and gentlemen. I know a personal story about this type of situation, but I'll leave it for another day. Darling, we can't mask our true feelings for long, and jealousy can creep up on us unexpectedly, filling our hearts with disdain and pain. Personally, I couldn't fathom the mere thought of sharing an eggplant and swapping vaginal fluids with 7 other women every time it's my turn to get up on it. And by the time it's my turn, this pendejo would probably give me a good 4 pumps and dump, roll on over like a fat slug, and fall asleep. Sounds pitiful to me. Oh, and you just know that the others are not using any type of protection. Sugar, there is this thing called BV. Plus, I don't like to share. The kitty cat claws will protrude outwards, and I'll cut anyone off out of my life if I have to. Speaking of emotions, How can one person satisfy or nourish multiple souls? It must be draining not only to physically keep up, but to cater to intimate mental and emotional needs. Why, darling, you'll burn yourself out like a candle reaching the end of its cycle. Sounds like a headache, but darling, I digress. The benefits of financial gain would have me reconsider. A lady loves having her hair and nails done, not to mention car insurance and bills paid, you know. There are some polygamous relationships that work due to the lovely sound of withdrawing money from an ATM, and honestly, I think it's the best method to keep peace in the polygamous household. Sweetie, take care of me, and your wish is my command. You can pump and dump and disappoint as much as you want. Just run me that cash, sugar, okay? No, but definitely a rich man's type of relationship, because they have the resources to take special care of their spouses and offspring. Hence why throughout history, men of status only had multiple wives and concubines, because they were able to afford them and attend to each one. Honey, in parts of the world polygamy is legal, but the practice is discouraged if a man is unable to act justly, treating all wives fairly, and unable to provide financial security. Moolah talks and definitely is a perfect trade-off, but it seems to me a lot of broke dusties want to be polygamous so bad, only for the sole purpose of screwing different women every night. They never think about the emotional, mental, and economical standpoints, only the physical. I also think it would feed their overbearing egos as they have control in that relationship. So the broke dusties who still go through with it, they seek out young or vulnerable girls. They can manipulate and brainwash these poor girls to accept their little to non-existent abilities to provide, leading to a life of pure misery, regret, jealousy, and poverty. Not to mention a huge of children that would be affected by this supposed way of life. Don't believe me? Check out this documentary about polygamy. Link will be in the description. For children to grow up to be healthy adults, they need structure and a solid foundation at home. If their upbringing is rough or erratic, chances are they will fall victim to the vicious cycle of chaos. Don't get me wrong. Chores and child-rearing can be divided among spouses in polygamy, but I don't believe there is a proper representation of love and self-worth. And if the whole family is living in squalor, the children growing up in these conditions may have a negative perspective on life, even having an entitled mindset. Darling, I am not saying it's definite. I am simply pointing out it's a possibility. However, hardships may inspire some to be better in life, but all depends on the person. I personally think polygamy can be very cult-like, especially when following a religion and justifying everything through religious beliefs. I also think, in a way, it can be misogynistic. I am going to have to agree with feminists on this simply because how women can be treated and are viewed as property in certain areas in the world. In many polygamous relationships, the women are often pitted against each other to compete for men's attention. Honey, that is the narcissistic behavior I was referring to. It can happen even when a woman has multiple husbands. If a person encourages this type of competitive behavior, they are more than likely a narcissist that gets off to multiple people, scrimmaging in some twisted, sick fantasy for approval. Darling, no one should be put in that situation and stress, wondering if they are ever good enough for this one person. In 2013, studies have shown that women in polygamous relationships suffer from anxiety, depression, and decreased life and marital satisfaction at higher levels than women in monogamous relationships. So, I've come to the conclusion that polygamy is more of a devious kink for control and sexual fantasies, not a lifestyle. In my opinion, it does more harm than good. But, darling, I can care less what grown, consenting adults do. Stay safe, ladies and gentlemen. I suppose all is fair in love and war, no? Thank you for listening. You can follow me on Twitter and Insta at Adenium. You can also follow and like the Lady Adenium podcast on Facebook. Until next time, darling.